Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Cornelia.
Yeah, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
I'm glad I could make it.
Yes, us too. Well, it is the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, you guys have to change the time on the meetup for Minneapolis because it says 10:30 at 10:30 a.m. So you guys need to change that on meetup.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
I got,
Cornelia.
yeah, go ahead, Megan.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It is the bottom of the hour, and I'm absolutely delighted to have you all join us today at the Sunday Morning Coffee House. It's an absolutely gorgeous day today, probably going up into the 70s. So I know that we're going to be outside and enjoying that sunshine and warmth. So today, as I said, I welcome you on behalf of the Center for Functional Nutrition. And our mission statement is to better people's lives and to be a force for good in the world. And thank you again for being here. And Brian, I will hand the coffee house over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Megan, and welcome everybody. Great to have you with us today. Really excited for today. We have our featured presenter today is Russell Mariani. He's my dad, and he's also been a pioneer in the world of health and wellness and lifestyle for 40 years, and always ahead of the curve, so to speak. Just quickly, personally, growing up, we were always eating organic foods, and I was kind of the weird kid because we did that. And now, 25 years later, everyone's doing that, and just kind of cool to see how things take on through time, and the right things, organic eating and good, and all that Russell figured out over 40 years ago and has been giving and teaching. And so we're very grateful to have you today, Russell. And I know that what you're going to be presenting on today, I think, is very timely. There's a lot of confusion out there about, what we can be doing, especially right now for our health, especially our immune system. And I know that those are things that you're going to be speaking about today. So without further ado, Russell, go for it.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. So I wanted to do a couple of things. I wanted to first acknowledge that we have a new president-elect and vice president-elect. Just acknowledge that, and to say that it's my firm belief that what unites us all as human beings is far more important and significant than what divides us. And that's going to be a theme in what I want to share today. I'm going to do two things. As many of you know, I recently published my new book called Principle Eating, the No Diet Way to Complete Health. And I want to acknowledge Brian for coming up with that title. And that book is basically the summation of 40 plus years of research and 40 plus years of clinical practice, helping other people with all kinds of conditions from minor to the most serious to regain their health and well-being. And in thinking of how I could pull out a few key things from all that work, I put together over the last couple of days what I like to call a prose poem. It's only 2 pages long, so don't worry. But I would like to read that because it kind of puts in sequence some of the most important insights that I've had over the last 40 years. And then I'm going, and some of the things that Brian mentioned, like the connection between the immune system and the microbiome and the environment and healthy food plants, what that basic connection is. I put together a few slides, and I'm gonna just go through those slides, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And then I also will be sharing the good news at the end of today's session. And so that will be fun. So without further ado, as we keep saying, I just want to share a few things. I am going to be reading this, but these are things that I say all the time. I just wanted to put them into a particular sequence. So here we go. So the relationship between nutrition and health is not casual, it's causal. Food is the soil from which the tree of our own life is grown. A well-nourished body doesn't make mistakes. The body is constantly healing itself. The body knows how to heal itself. Nothing is neutral. Everything we do, especially everything we do that affects our body, is either complementary or insulting to the body's ability to heal itself. Everything is either complementary or insulting to the body's ability to regain, maintain, or optimize homeostasis. And homeostasis is the physiological proof of the body's ability to heal itself and then to maintain healthy functioning. Ignorance of the distinctions between what is complementary and what is insulting to homeostasis is the cause of so much suffering in our world today. Understanding the fundamentals of health can liberate us from this ignorance and empower the biological transformation of humanity. Better education is the key. Biology is to the 21st century what chemistry and physics were to the 20th century. We are living in the age of biology. We live in interdependent and symbiotic relationships with all living things. All living things. Physical health is the foundation upon which we build the rest of our lives. And the quality of our physical health is determined by the quality of the life of our cells. If our cells are the basic building blocks of all life on Earth, human life, plant life, animal life, and bacterial life. If our cells are healthy, we are healthy. It's as simple as that. All healthy cells work cooperatively and synergistically with all the other cells in the body. There is no such thing as an independent cell. All healthy cells work interdependently on behalf of all the other cells in the community, which is the human body. In other words, the human body is a community of cells. Interdependence is of greater value and importance to healthy cells than independence. You might say that healthy cells have no egos. You might say that healthy cells are like truly enlightened beings. When we find and do the things that nourish our cells best, all will be well today and in all the days ahead. Now, what we normally think of as the human body is composed of at least 100 trillion cells. Bone cells, blood cells, liver cells, kidney cells, brain cells, nerve cells. But living inside the human digestive system lives a vast ecosystem of cells that are mostly bacterial, single-celled organisms that number 1,000 times 100 trillion cells. This ecosystem of cells is called the microbiome. The health of the entire human body, including the health, strength, and resiliency of the human immune system, depends upon the health of the microbiome. When the microbiome is healthy, we are healthy. It's as simple as that. The microbiome of the Earth's healthy soil is similar in form and function to the microbiome of the human body. Bacteria in the soil make up the microbiome that is responsible for the production of healthy food plants. Bacteria in the soil make up the microbiome that is responsible for the production of healthy food plants. Did I just say that? Bacteria in the human digestive system make up the microbiome that is responsible for the absorption and assimilation of micronutrients from our food plants to the cells of the body. The biosphere of planet Earth affects the human microbiome. The Earth is an ecosystem, and the human body is an ecosystem, and these two ecosystems are interconnected and interdependent. The health of human beings depends upon the health of every ecosystem on planet Earth. There is such a thing as planetary homeostasis, just as there is individual homeostasis inside the body of every human being. What we call climate change is nothing more or less than a disturbance of planetary homeostasis. And since much of this disturbance is caused by human beings, it can also be healed or corrected or reversed by human beings. All living things are interconnected like a beautiful web of life. Human beings did not weave the web of life. Human beings are merely one life form among many life forms inside this web. Whatever human beings do to the web of life, we do to ourselves and our children and grandchildren and all living things. We are all in this together. We must learn to honor the earth and each other. So let's be and become the healthiest version of ourselves and invite everyone we know and everyone we don't know to be and become the very best version of themselves too. And let's do this together today and in all the days ahead. So that's my little prose poem. So now what I'd like to do is just share my screen, bring up a few slides, and I'm going to do some visuals to connect with some of the things that I just shared. So, Brian, just give me a thumbs up that you can still hear me okay. All right. I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly. There we go. All right. Okay, so of course, most of the time we hear this phrase that you are what you eat, but actually we are what plants eat. And so the question is, what the heck do plants eat? And plants eat dirt. Plants eat soil. And basically what the plants are looking for in the soil are all these different minerals and trace minerals and so then the question is, well, how do the plants take the minerals from the soil and convert them into nutrients inside the food plants? And they do that via the root system of the plants. And so then the question is, how does this root system turn into this, which then turns into this vast cornucopia of beautiful, wonderful, nutritious food. And then, you know, we get some of our supplements by extracting the micronutrients from our whole food plants. And again, so the minerals and trace minerals in the soil, through the operation of the roots of the plants, then transform those minerals and trace minerals into vitamins and minerals and amino acids and antioxidants, essential fatty acids, all the things that we're familiar with in our food plants and in our supplements, food-based supplements. So then the question is, how does that transformation take place? And the answer is the microbiome of the soil. It is literally the bacteria in the soil that migrate to the roots of the plants. And then the roots of the plants, through the action of the bacteria, transform all those minerals and trace minerals and turn that into the micronutrients of our food. Again, the bacteria in the soil, they detect the minerals, they digest the minerals, and then they transform that into the nutrients that are then absorbed and assimilated up into the food plant. And that's how this turns into all these wonderful micronutrients. Okay, so then now the question is, how do the soil bacteria know what to do and how to do all this? Okay, and the answer to that question is redox signaling molecules. Now, a couple of weeks ago, the last time I hosted the coffee house, I did a presentation about redox signaling molecules. And all I want to say right now is redox signaling molecules are the most basic and fundamental unit of life. Nothing happens in life. Nothing happens in bacteria. Nothing happens in our cells. Nothing happens in our physiology without the activation of redox signaling molecules. And the simplest way to kind of remember this or understand this is that redox molecule, let's use, for example, the bacteria in the soil. How do the bacteria in the soil know how to identify the different minerals and trace minerals in the soil, and then how to convert them, how to transform them into nutrients that are then taken up the root system into the plant? And all that is done through redox signaling molecules, activating the genetic codes inside the DNA of the bacteria, the probiotics of the soil. Okay, and then in a second, I'm going to show how that same pathway, how that same mechanism is at operation inside of our own human digestive system. Okay, so bacteria in the soil, root systems of the plant, the redox signaling molecules turn on the genetic codes in all cells, in bacterial cells and in human cells, turn on the messages that lead to a healthy genetic expression and turn off the messages that lead to dysfunction, degeneration, and dis-ease. Okay, so now I just want to make the connection between the root system of plants in healthy soil and the root system of the human body. And again, this understanding of the importance of the digestive system, of a healthy digestive system, goes back to the father of Western medicine, Hippocrates. All disease begins in the gut. And the corollary of that, of course, is all health begins in the gut. And of course, our life began in utero. And I just wanted to point out this little umbilical cord connects to the middle of our digestive system, literally in the middle of our small intestine. So from the very beginning of our life, we were being nourished from the food our mother ate, and that all that food, all those nutrients went into the root system of our body, which is our small intestine. And when our intestines are out of balance, we feel it. And when they're working properly, we feel that too. So again, the bacteria in the soil function the same way that bacteria inside the human digestive system. And there are good bacteria called probiotics, and there are bad bacteria like yeast, mold, and fungus. Maybe the most famous opportunistic organism, pathological, negative organism that everyone's familiar with is Candida, which is a type of yeast, which causes all kinds of problems. So again, there are friendly bacteria, probiotic, and when the system is dominated by the probiotics, it functions properly. And when it's dominated by unfriendly bacteria, then things don't work very well. Now, isn't it interesting? This slide is at least 5 or 6 years old. Everybody recognize this little image here? I don't know, of course. I don't think they meant to say that this was the coronavirus, but have this similar shape, okay? And the basic idea, and so here you have the probiotics, bacteria over here, and the probiotics eat our food, digest our food, and eliminate waste products. So one of the waste products of the healthy bacteria are antibiotics. The most powerful antibiotics ever discovered are manufactured from the healthy bacteria in our gut. And what does that mean? That means that even if you have viruses circulating around in our digestive system, but you have enough probiotics, the probiotics will manufacture antibiotics, will manufacture enzymes, will manufacture materials to destroy viruses, bacteria, any invader organism. So this is why it's so critical to make sure that the digestive system is filled with probiotics and not dysbiotics. Again, this is a magnification of the intestinal villi and microvilli, and these little boys and girls are the roots of human health. They are literally the root system of the human body, and they function the same way that the roots of a plant in healthy soil function. The root system of a healthy plant extracts the minerals and trace minerals from the soil and converts them into nutrients. Inside the human digestive system, these villi and microvilli, which are the roots of our body, identify the nutrients in our food, our digestive food, extract the nutrients from our digested food, and send those, take those nutrients into the root, into these entities here, where there are blood vessels, and then the nutrients enter the blood vessels and are delivered to our liver, and then from there, they are sent out to all the other parts of the body. So again, there's this incredible relationship between the form and function of roots of healthy plants in healthy soil and the root system of our own body. And so that's why I say food is the soil from which the tree of our own life is grown. So we not only have to eat healthy food, we have to make sure that the root system inside of our own body is healthy so that we can extract all the nutrients from our healthy food. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to share in the slides. Again, biology is the 21st century, what physics and chemistry were to the 20th century. Yes, okay, so that's all I wanted to share there. I hope that was helpful. So I'm gonna stop the share, get back to our full screen, and I guess we can open it up for Q&A.
Awesome, thank you, Russell. That's such a brilliant way to really ground our understanding of how symbiotic everything is. And when we understand that, maybe we will be more inclined to take more responsibility. So I just love how that all comes together. All right, I'm looking around. If anyone has a question or a comment, please do. Yes, go for it.
So the antibiotics are made from probiotics, but yet when you put the antibiotics in your body, it kind of destroys stuff in there, right?
Very good question, Nancy. So there's a categorical difference between antibiotics that are made by the pharmaceutical industry and the antibiotics made inside of our own body. So the antibiotics made inside of our own body are very intelligent and highly selective. And so they will kill what they're supposed to kill and not kill healthy bacteria. They'll go after the pathological organisms, which is what we want them to do. Unfortunately, with antibiotics, they kill everything. They do kill the bad organisms, but they also kill the good organisms. And so in my practice, what I see when I do a history of the person and try to find out when did their symptoms begin, when did their negative digestive system symptoms begin, some enormous percentage, like 75% of the people I've worked with over the last 40 years say that their problem started soon after taking antibiotics. Okay, so the antibiotics our body produces, the probiotics produce, totally safe and are very selective with what they kill. So, but that's a great question. Thanks for asking it.
Yeah, that was a great question, Nancy. Thank you. Wes, go for it.
Hi, Russell. Great
Hi, Wes.
talk, great education. I'm curious, since we're all so unique, is there one particular plan that fits all of us?
One particular dietary plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no. So the good answer, I mean, the simple answer is no. What I found over the years is that when you study the human diet, Weston Price was a dentist back in the 1920s who traveled all around the world and visited the last remaining remnants of indigenous cultures who had not been adversely affected by modern civilization yet. And whether those people lived in India or in Southeast Asia, in the Pacific Islands, or in Africa, or Japan, or North America, the diet had remained fairly consistent for thousands of years, hundreds of generations. In that diet, the cornucopia of food included all the things that we're familiar with today: grains and beans and lots of different kinds of vegetables and fermented vegetables and seeds and nuts and fruit and animal food. The amount of animal food that people ate traditionally was much smaller compared to what we typically eat today. But basically those foods, those basic food groups, have been the staple foods of human beings for thousands and thousands of years, at least 5,000 years that we know since the dawn of civilization. And of course, before that, hunter-gatherers, ate most of those same foods, other than, the cultivated grains and cultivated beans. So the basic idea for most people, depending on where they were living, was that they were finding foods very local to where they were. And so that's a principle. And then, of course, if they were living in a four-season climate, then they had to figure out how to store food over those winter months. But I would say that the basic approach to a healthy human diet has not fundamentally changed in a very long time. And what I see, especially in the world of functional medicine, integrative medicine, is that there is growing consensus that first and foremost, we need to make the distinction between healthy food, organic quality food, and conventionally grown or GMO food. So that's really important because, again, the farmers are paying attention to the health of the soil and the health of those food plants, and there's no herbicide and pesticide residues, et cetera. And then the difference between whole foods and processed foods. So many people in the United States, I mean, the overwhelming majority, we have an obesity epidemic, we have a diabetes epidemic. And then when you look at the average shopping cart at the supermarket, you just see boxes and cans and all kinds of processed foods. So as we return to a more traditional diet, we will find that we're all different. We all have our individuality, biochemical individuality, and yet certain principles and practices will be common to us all.
Yeah, that's a great question, Wes, and a great answer. I think the principle, if it was whittled down into maybe a sentence, is essentially eat local, eat simple, eat seasonally. It's really where things get problematic is the more things get processed and the farther away you're getting things. So, and I think it's also on all of us as individuals to, do our own research and to read books and learn from people who, have spent a majority of their life learning about a topic, and then experimenting and finding what serves us best. And that's kind of, Russell mentioned his book at the beginning. That's why we put a lot of time and effort into finding a way to express what that material would give the person that was reading it. And we carefully picked the no diet way because we don't want, most people send the message that you should do this diet or this diet or this diet, and it works. And that's simply categorically not true, because it is more about principles, the principle of eating organic food, the principle of eating simply, not processed, and then just figuring out what suits you as a person. So that was a great question. Awesome. Anyone else with a comment?
Carol.
Yep, Carol, go for it.
So our digestive systems have not changed since we came on the planet.
What is the question?
The digestive systems have not, am I right that they are still the same as they were eons ago?
Yes, basically, yes. Since certainly we evolved into this particular species, yes, our digestive system has not fundamentally changed in all these years, generation after generation. We could probably make the argument that today the digestive system is not doing very well. Something like statistically 65 to 70% of people in the United States have a negative digestive system problem that lasts for more than 3 or 4 days every 90 to 120 days. It's crazy. The products that are purchased over the counter for constipation, diarrhea, and acid reflux are among the bestseller pharmaceuticals of all time. So yeah, the system itself has not fundamentally changed, but as we've degraded our environment and ruined the quality of the soil, then we've definitely run into more and more problems, moved away from whole foods and got into processed foods. And so, but our digestive system has not fundamentally changed. And let's make this point. In the same way that you can take a totally denatured piece of land, almost totally destroyed ecosystem, which is shown in this fabulous new documentary called Kiss the Ground. If you have not seen that, please Google Kiss the Ground and watch this documentary. There's several examples in that movie, in that documentary, of an ecosystem that you would just say, that's never coming back. And 5, 10, 15 years later, it's like a new Garden of Eden. Okay, so in the same way that nature is resilient and with proper care can regenerate back to where it was, even better than where it was, so can we. The human body is also that resilient because it's the same thing as nature. We are part of that. And so this is why natural healing is not just an interesting idea, it's a physiological reality. And given the slightest chance, the body can and will heal itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, Brian, just one quick thing. I think that is what I appreciate and enjoy so much about this presentation, Russell, is this link, this relationship, this true relationship that we do have with the earth. And your example from Kiss the Ground, we actually saw it in this movie of this totally devastated piece of land. Within 5, 6, 7 years, it was totally replenished. So, and in that sense, that with that connection, that relationship between humans and earth becomes renewed and revived, and it becomes part of, as Brian was talking about, our responsibility, and you were talking about as human beings to take care to be conscious, to take care, to be sustainable, to because we're in relationship. We nourish the earth relations up nourishes us. I mean, it's just so cool.
It is indeed
Absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely. All right. Anyone else? Final comment or question? Oh, okay. We got a couple more. Let's go. Go for it, Pat, and then Cornelia.
Russell, thank you. This is perfect of all my understanding of learning everything I've learned from you for years and years and years. And after almost 63 years, I have transformed myself. So I appreciate the way you present this, and you know, no one can find better words. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Pat. And for anybody in our little group here today who doesn't know about Pat Hanbury, she definitely transformed her life. Over the last 18 months, she has lost over 170 pounds. So for Pat. And along with all that weight loss has been a steady, you know, understanding of what we're talking about here. So you're one of my heroes, Pat. Thank you. All right, Cornelia, go ahead.
Yeah, Cornelia, please.
Yeah, my last question was, is it possible to just regenerate the system with the right foods that are good for our bodies? And but that was already answered by Russell in his last comment. So that was good. Thank you. And in Germany, the last comment I have to make, in Germany, the old naturopathic people say, death lies in the gut. So that is always a sentence we grew up with. So thank you.
Yeah,
And it
great.
was a most informative and really great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Cornelia.
That's great. I love that. The Germans have these wonderful, to the point sayings that, it's so good. All right, Russell, you want to do the good news?
Carol, go ahead. What?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I have never heard it put this way, between the way you did it today. I mean, I understand it and I absolutely agree, but I'd never thought of it before, not in that way. I think that was wonderful, Russell.
Oh, great. Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. So two things in wrapping up. So I will move now to the good news portion. I just wanted to share, when I first started studying all this in the early 1970s, I was introduced to the macrobiotic movement in the work of Michio Kushi and George Osawa. And one of the earliest lectures I heard was by Mr. Kushi, and he stood up at the front of the room and wrote on the blackboard with chalk back in the day, this Japanese saying, Shindo Fuji. Some people say Shindo Fuji. S-H-I-N-D-O-F-U-J-I, Shindo Fuji. The literal translation of that Japanese saying is body, earth, not two. Body, earth, not two. And then he said, and what that means is what the earth is and what a human being is the same thing. And so that's been with me. That was literally one of the first things I ever learned in the world of natural healing. And as you can tell today, it's still one of the most important things. And it is the truth that's going to allow us as a species, as a global civilization, to finally turn the corner and restore the health of the planet. Because if we don't do that, things are not looking very good into the future. All right. So also early on in my career studying natural healing, I learned a song called the Compost Song. And this song was written by Lee Hayes And Lee Hayes was part of the singing group, the Weavers. And the other members of that group were Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, and Ronnie Gilbert. And this particular song was written by Lee Hayes near the end of his life. I believe he died of diabetes, but Pete Seeger would sing this song all the time in concerts. And I heard it on a CD. Actually, Brian, you probably heard this a million times because we'd always play that same Pete Seeger, Arlo Guthrie, probably a cassette tape, in the car. So here's what I wanted to end today's session with. It's called The Compost Song, and it goes like this. If I should die before I wake, all my bone and sinew take. Put me in the compost pile to decompose me for a while. Earth, water, sun will have their way, returning me to common clay. All that I am will feed the trees and little fishies in the seas. When radishes and corn you munch, you might be having me for lunch, and then excrete me with a grin, chortling, there goes Lee again.
Very good.
There you have it.
I certainly do remember that song being played a few times. Oh, that's great. Well, certainly smiles and laughter all around. And thank you, Russell, for just, your brilliant message that is so needed to be heard and understood today and in all the days ahead. So thank you for that. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. This is only possible because of all of you coming together, joining with us. And it's an incredible thing we're doing to create connection and learning and growth. And thank you all for participating. So without further ado, big virtual hug. We're very excited for next week. Cornelia is going to be our presenter next week, and she's absolutely amazing. I can't wait. So look forward to seeing you all next week, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Have a
Bye-bye.
great
Thanks so
day.
much,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.